Froggy Tonic is a former editor for iDubbbz, and he's been jumping on the criticisms that Ethan and Hila are neglectful parents, neglectful pet owners, and some of the other criticisms that people have been making of Ethan and Hila lately. So, because Ethan and Ian had a decent friendship, they'd done content together, Ian had been to Ethan's house, they've had personal conversations, that sort of stuff. Ethan thought maybe Ian would be willing to make a tweet and say, "Hey, I've been to their house. It's pretty clean. I don't think any of this stuff is true." But that was far too big of an ask for Ian and Anisa. They're not willing to do that. They're not willing to touch any of the drama. So Ethan and Hila are torching the relationship, and I'll show you a couple clips of that. And then Ian and Anisa just uploaded a truly pathetic, self-serving response on their Maximum Damage podcast channel, which gets like 5,000 views a video.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Hila's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like she's a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit, and that's showing.
This is Froggy Tonic, Ian's former editor that Ethan's talking about here.
Right up on Anisa's and iDubbbz feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered for saying one goddamn fucking thing in our defense. Like, actually, Hila's not a baby killer. Actually, accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group that anybody who says any fucking thing, they will attempt to ruin their lives. And once again, I'm the crazy one. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people harassing me and everyone in my life. It's that people outside of this group, journalists, creators, are actively participating in this gaslighting to make it seem like I'm fucking crazy. Like, dude, I probably done.
From what I've heard, the sniffling or sniffing is something that happens when Ethan is stressed. It's a form of his Tourette's. I don't know that that's true. I haven't heard him say that, but I mean, it makes sense. It is a little bit annoying to listen to, but I mean, I get it.
And stood by iDubbbz and Anisa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them, because I love those guys. I vouch for their character, and
Yeah, and that's what's crazy, because when Ian was in all the controversy for Anisa starting her OnlyFans, I mean, everybody turned on Ian. He was the joke of the internet for a while there. I mean, some people would say he still is, but it was way more prominent then. And Ethan was one of the only people that was willing to defend Ian and Anisa during all of that. But that apparently meant nothing to them.
And I stood by them 100%. And listen, I'm not saying that they're not the good, nice, fine people that I thought they were. But I'll say this, I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. That's what I'll say at this moment. And certainly, I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing. I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man.
So yeah, this is not Ethan just saying this out of nowhere. He reached out to Ian and had a text conversation with him about Ian's former editor, Froggy Tonic, and Ian essentially told him he's not willing to get into it.
That's not what I need. How could you not say something when this is like, imagine like one of you guys is like, Hassan actually wants to go to Gaza so he can strangle Israeli babies or some shit like that. I'd be like, you imagine me not saying something.
So yeah, I mean, to me, it seems pretty reasonable that Ian would come out and say something. I'll show you some of these tweets from Froggy Tonic just so you get an idea. It says, just learned 2 years before Ethan's dog's death, some H3 fans voiced concerns for his chronic vomiting, pointing to kidney failure, got shunned by other fans. Ethan declined the advice, stayed course, cheese as treats. Fast forward, dog dies of kidney failure at 6 years old, lifespan expectancy of 13 years. Yo, fans, I'm silly for even trying to appeal to your intelligence given all the death threats and insane assumptions, but the only extrapolation you need to make is don't overfeed him cheese / don't let him eat pills. Ethan's obviously not a dog killer, just very careless. And then some random guy replies, I mean, it's not unreasonable to say his negligence led to the death of his pet. And Froggy Tonic replies, oh, I know, dude. I mean, I've seen him chug random pills and apply random creams live on air without reading the instructions. Like, come on. Dude is the definition of careless. He has the button just so his carelessness can continue without repercussions. So, I mean, they're pretty clearly saying that Ethan is the reason that his dog died. Just Creator Clash 2, and yes, I'll double down. Oh, wait, I should read this first. He's got a screenshot of his own tweet here. Yes, I have a loving family. I know what it takes to take care of infants, toddlers, and obsessing over a past coworker who doesn't give a flying F about you during the holidays ain't it. He had everything, but he had to let narcissism, or Hila, take a hold of his paradise. Then he says, just Creator Clash 2, and yes, I'll double down. I watched Ethan and Hila for 10 years. I loved that show. No one else to blame but them for the current insanity. We all know Ethan is unchecked. We've seen it on so many eps. You refuse to let it go. You are in an abusing relationship with H3. I'm assuming he's talking about any fans that are defending or sticking up for Ethan there. Own up? Yes, Ethan was neglectful with his dogs, has already been neglectful with his kids, and will continue to be. Do you guys know how to read? As a child with a neglectful, bipolar, narcissistic dad, that's precisely why I worry for Ethan's kids. You fans are clocked out. I think. Oh, so this is the one thing that Ian has said about it publicly. Creator Clash 3 needs a headline fight. Here are the options. Ethan Klein versus Hassan Piker. Hasanabi versus H3 Productions. Vape Nash versus Hank Pecker. And this was before this stuff, to be fair, but that's all I could find that Ian had said about this at all. So here's a couple clips from another podcast where they said a little bit more about this.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh, yeah. And our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anisa and Ian. Yeah. Thanks, Anisa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times because, like, why would I not? It was crazy. It was crazy. People were shitting on you and Ian because you did OnlyFans. Of course I was going to stand by you. That's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me. So,
The problem.
okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know.
Yeah. Which
she's
I'll show.
friends with
Denims is
Denim.
actually participating in this whole child protective service lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denims, it's Hassan Orbiter, and she was one of the people. She's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he's just letting his children eat dog poop off the floor. How is this happening? She was fully bought into it just because Bad Empanada said that this happened.
Which I'll
And if
show
you're
you guys
friends with them, then you're seeing what they're saying, right?
Oh, well, that child protective service is even the worst thing. I mean, she's said worse things about you and me.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
The last thing I said to Anisa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. And I said, she's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the conversation ended.
She never replied.
Never responded.
But it was so funny how she immediately...
I mean, that's crazy. She's like, just gonna ignore this. Literally ignore it. I will not get involved in defending my friend, even if it's just this light thing of saying, hey, I don't think this is true, guys. That's too much. That's too much for them.
went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, oh, it doesn't work with us but that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't
Okay. Do you have
agree.
anything?
I mean, how cowardly is that? It's like, oh, hey, I know our former editor is saying some crazy stuff about you, he's our former editor, so we're just gonna keep quiet.
Anything else to say for your friends though?
Just say he doesn't.
Like,
At least say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that she doesn't.
that's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually
She thinks they
probably-
have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Well, I've already burned these ones actually.
I know
You're late
you
to the
already
game.
did most of the work. I'm just.
You're
coming
late.
to,
You're
like-
late to the game.
I'm just coming to enjoy the party.
Let see the flame.
I just imagine them at home, and they have a list of all of these friends to denounce. They're just going down the list, crossing off names.
Burn. I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line. What happened today that should never be crossed, even by like the most cynical, toxic people, and it's going to have ramifications in terms of how I conduct myself.
In terms of how I see other people.
In terms of these fair weather friends who are, so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it. But as soon as it's like it's so easy to be anti-racist. Everybody's anti-racist. Racism is the worst thing in the world, right? We fucking hate racists. Fuck racists.
Microaggressions.
But
and all this stuff.
the minute that they actually have to stick their neck out for somebody, the minute they have to actually risk something to put themselves in under scrutiny, to actually sacrifice something personally to stand up for racism, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't want to get involved.
And that's drama.
How much do you care?
I don't do drama.
How much
Sorry.
do you actually care? Isn't that the whole point?
It seems very weird to me that Ian and Anisa are not willing to dip their toes in drama at all, because I mean, they could really use the views, right? They could use a little bit of a drama bump, but no.
Like, if you want to speak against racism, if you want to be that good person, that activist or whatever, like, isn't the whole point that you are saying difficult things, that you're taking the difficult stance? You're not it's not about going along with the crowd and being like, I hate racists, guys. Aren't we all the best? It's about actually fucking doing the right thing when it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people...
Just jump ahead a little bit more of this podcast and then get into Ian and Anisa's response.
There's no...
Oh, yeah, and I wanted to say another thing. People are saying this thing like Anisa ruined Ian. Like, no.
That's pathetic.
Ian ruined Ian. Anisa ruined Anisa. Ian ruined Ian. They're both adults.
I agree.
They make their own actions. Ian sucks for the same reason right now. He could say something
Spineless.
too. He could say something too. He has his own following.
Well, Ian knows us better
own
than
mouth.
anything.
He's been with us. He's seen us with our kids.
Spineless, actually.
He could say something too. So Anisa didn't ruin Ian. That's bullshit. Like, don't start thinking like that. People say that about me sometimes.
Well, that would be kind of freaky that you let Ian into your house. You trusted him that much. You're like, yeah, you come into my house where my kids are, and just completely unwilling to say anything. And you're like, wow, I'm kind of skeeved out that this person was in my house at all. I didn't realize how cretinous they were.
I thought it was
That's
ironic.
not how it works. They're adults.
I thought it was
They're
really
two adults.
ironic because we defended Anisa against these accusations that she's some corrupting force that
Right,
ruined it.
and I'm not going to change my mind on it. I'll still defend her on that.
Well, it's super chauvinistic thing that the internet's been talking about, and we always spoke that's just super chauvinistic and
But
fucking
unlike
gross.
Hassan, I'm not going to change my morals now because I'm not friends with her anymore. I'll still defend her on that. She did not ruin Ian. Ian can only ruin Ian.
In regards to Ian and Anisa, I mean, obviously it's a weird situation for me, but you guys have obviously been friends a lot longer than I've known either party. But I just want to say, I do wonder if things would be different if they weren't stressed about the crater clash because of what happened last time.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
Everybody's
care.
stressed in life.
Yeah, it's also, if it's too stressful, maybe they shouldn't be doing it, right? They lost money last time. People are expecting them to not really make money again. I don't really hear anybody talking about Creator Clash. There's no buzz. There's no excitement. So very lame to use that as an excuse. Obviously, they're not doing it. It's AB saying maybe that's why. But, I mean, come on. How lame, all right? If it's too stressful that you can't make a tweet defending your friend, then you definitely should not be doing Creator Clash 3. Regardless of that, you shouldn't be doing Creator Clash 3, but if the stress from it is that bad, definitely.
I appreciate you are.
And that's not directed at you. So
But
I'm like
I
fired
understand.
up.
I completely
so I'm not,
understand.
At this point, I don't care
I
about
don't want it
any
to
Yeah.
seem like
I
people
feel
will
like I
say now I
need to-
yell at
Actually,
you.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm glad you said it.
Yeah.
From your point POV, our POV is like fuck everybody, and I don't want to hear any excuses.
And again, I don't. That's
I know
you guys
don't.
have your own relationship. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's
And not
Listen,
this
and
is not directed at you.
they're
But if
very
this is something
nice-
that they would say, then I'll tell them I don't care because I have stress too. We all have stress. We all have shit going on. Always.
I'm
There's
very-
always something happening.
Listen, they're very nice. They're very gracious, nice people that like we have a lot of memories with. Me and Ian have made a ton of content together, and you know, people that I really consider my friend. And we would talk about private things. We would get together. We would go hang out at our house, go for meals and stuff. And like, you know, we were really friends. But you know, at this point, there's no room in my life for halfway friends. There's just, or even 90% friends. You know, it's just not happening anymore. When your friends are responsible for people calling Child Protective Services, and I'm not saying she did, but you'll see in the clip that she's
in the circles of people doing it.
Yeah, then you're not my friend, and you never were, and you never will be. You never will be. Yeah, but
anyone who's upset with me in chat, we're literally having a discussion about friends staying
Don't
silent.
be
So shut
upset
the
at
fuck
AB.
up.
Don't be. It's like
No, I know, I'm
it's
just-
actually a good point that
it's
you bring
funny.
up because maybe that's something they'll try to say tomorrow when we're not live. So we get to address it now.
I love
You
when
know?
I think it's really valuable.
No, not allowed, AB. No defending Ian and Anisa. Because a lot of the times the H3 fan base is a little bit more split with the controversies that they get into, but with the CPS stuff, I think it's a little bit more unanimous. So they're like, no, AB, don't you dare offer them any defense. So much so he feels the need to reply to the chatters.
I hate that I always have to explain this, and I hope that there comes a day when we don't, but
I know.
this is the internet. When people play devil's advocate on the show, like Dan specifically does it a lot, it's because he is actually evil. He is the devil.
Done over there.
It actually facilitates really valuable conversations where I can
Yes.
interface with the arguments that people are going to say when the show ends, and I can fucking talk. I can flesh out my ideas now and don't have to deal with it like
Yeah.
after the fact. You know, it's a good thing.
It makes the conversation better, actually. Like it enriches the conversation because
And some of the fans, they do get very upset when Ethan has a contentious conversation with any of the crew. I really, that's so bizarre to me because there are lots of people who don't feel comfortable to disagree with their boss at all. But yeah, his crew often will push back or disagree with him. And, you know, even if things get heated in the moment, they patch it up and they keep moving forward. Like, I don't I don't understand how some of these turn into such a controversy where it's just like I would think most people want a workplace where you can disagree with your boss and push back and it not be a major issue, but not for some of these the snarkers, the critics.
like Ethan said, it's something that somebody will eventually say. So we get to talk about it now before they say it.
Yeah.
I need to emphasize, and I guess I'll continue emphasizing. We are all, everyone in this room is the good guy. There's no fucking like, I can't believe he said this. Like we're all. I promise you that everybody here, in this room, in this studio, is a good person. They're on the good. They're not. You know what I mean? They're not whatever it is you think they're doing, or whoever you think they're loyal to, or whatever. Like, trust me, these are all good people here, and they're all doing the right thing, and that's just the end of the conversation.
Yeah, like I said, this is, you know, you guys know your guys' relationship. I don't know. I only know both parties because of you guys. But yeah, it just makes me sad.
I think this guy's wife or girlfriend, I want to say Lena, something like that. Pretty sure she's supposed to fight at Creator Clash 3.
When I was with them a couple
They're
weeks ago
very-
at the event, they were asking about you guys, seeing how
Yeah.
you were doing, and then you guys were donating, you know, to the charity. It's so.
I know. It's just like
Yeah, I think just a few episodes ago or whatever, they donated to Creator Clash 3 because they're doing just a fundraiser leading up to the event because, last time they lost money. So to ensure that they don't lose money again, they started a fundraiser from the get-go as soon as they announced it.
Like saying it only privately but nothing publicly is just not gonna cut it for me right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and listen,
If you can't show support for me publicly, then it tells me there's a problem with you and your crowd. Like if your crowd is the kind of crowd that will not hang with you because you'll show support to me,
listen, there's
it's
a lot
fine.
of
I'll be fine with
Yeah, a lot of people do get trapped into sort of audience capture. I don't understand how people don't have the foresight to do that, right? Like I put out lots of videos that I know a lot of people are not going to agree with and that they're going to get more dislikes than likes. And that oftentimes will lose me subs, but I would much prefer that because I want to keep the people around that are okay with disagreeing with me and having opposing views and that sort of stuff so that I don't get stuck in that sort of position where I feel like I have to have a specific position. But Ian and Anisa have very much gotten themselves into that position where, yeah, they can't go out on a limb for Ethan and Hila because the people that watch them are the type of people to hate that.
without you.
there's a lot of people that support us, but they won't say anything because they don't want to deal with the ramifications of what can only be described as like the most organized, malicious harassment campaign I've ever seen. And I know that there's some journalist at fucking Slate that's gonna say that I need a psych eval for saying that or something. But if that, it'd be nice if they actually even asked me a question. I could kind of even, or just watch the show. I don't know. So with all that being said, I'm wondering if there's anything else to say before we watch this Denims clip.
Well, we should watch it because I feel like I'm already referencing it so much.
Yeah, they're moving on. So here is Ian and Anisa's response on their maximum damage channel. Oh, dang, I didn't even notice this. Obviously, this is not accurate because likes are but you can see it got above average dislikes here, 303 upvotes to 1.4 thousand downvotes. And they got 10,000 on this one. That's pretty good for them. But this is Ian and Anisa's response to this controversy here.
No, we can't do that right now.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. We got to talk about the Ethan stuff. Sorry.
Okay, so
Wait. Before we do, I just want to see where Dane's at with this because I want to see how widespread this is. Dane, do you know what we're talking about at all?
no.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So there you go. This is for a very specific subset of people who are.
Dane, he has, I think it's a Team Fortress 2 channel with like 800,000 subs. I was listening to some Kino Casino. And I don't know how they found that. Probably a fan told them about it or whatever. But it's like, is he just doing this as a complete favor for them? I can't imagine it's worth his time. I guess it is.
Very upset in my DMs.
Yeah. So, Ethan's upset with I think some of our connections, and we've tried to reach out to Ethan to talk privately. Basically, it just seems like we're at a bit of an impasse. So we want to stay out of the drama.
Is it an impasse? I mean, maybe that's the right term. But it seems like you're just not willing to say anything about this, right? Ethan is not upset about your connections. It's that you're connected to people saying terrible things about them, and you're not willing to say anything about it, to push back against it at all. Say it's not true. Nothing. That's what his issue is. It's not that this guy was your former editor, right? That's not obviously not Ethan's problem.
As much as possible, we don't want to pile on and add to anything. So this is our, lukewarm addressing of it. It's we're always open to talk, privately, especially, and we'll the door's always open.
Yeah, the door is always open. I want to really drive it home. We don't condone harassment of
We
any
don't
kind.
condone harassment of any kind.
Of any.
Very brave, very brave. You know, once Ethan hears this, I'm sure like, oh, you know what? We're friends again. They don't condone harassment, just generic harassment.
Kind.
Mhm.
Okay, period. Which is why we have not stuck our foot in any of this, because it is not productive. I don't think it's helpful. And these are real people who have real feelings.
I think I want to pivot this into something that I don't think I didn't touch on it in my apology video many years ago. Was it many
Man,
years ago?
how
Was it
long
1
ago?
year ago?
A few.
Yeah. I think in that video there was I had a lot of feelings, and like I think the most obvious one that and message that like made the most sense to people was me apologizing for slurs and just being generally insensitive to minority groups and people in general.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I maybe should have added to that, but I think it was kind of like implied if you're really like looking for it, is the harassment. I think harassment online is like, you know, we felt it. We felt
course.
plenty of it.
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of why there's been a shift in my content, is because it's not fucking healthy for people's brains, and it like doesn't get you anywhere. Like I would make, you know, a couple videos, the content cop and the content deputy, and then I would say, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. Let me leave this.
Yeah.
And it was done for me. For me, it was done. It was not done for the people who watched my videos. It was not done for the person who was being harassed. And I think that is a very like important thing to note, is I was living like kind of a different reality.
Yeah.
And it would shock me, you know, it would shock me when I'd meet people in public and they'd say, oh, I loved your Tana content cop. That bitch deserve everything that she got.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
really
holy
intense.
fuck.
It was intense.
Like, there was a lot of that energy, and I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, if you get any significant viewership, you're gonna have a couple people who are a little unhinged and way too into it. What is the value in this? They're saying harassment is bad, and a portion of fans do that. Like, all right, wow, you're really going out on a limb here.
man, this is beyond. People didn't have a laugh and then went back to their normal life. There's a lot of people who held on to that and had different motives and different goals that maybe didn't align with me.
They also wanted more.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like more. There is this growing movement online of trying to make the puppet that people are focused on right now dance the way that they want the puppet to dance. And they use a lot of different ways in order to do that, online and offline resources. And it's very dangerous. And I think for me, when I really started to be like,
Very dangerous? I mean, if we're talking about very dangerous, that is such a small portion. The people who are doing, you know, calling in SWATs and stuff like that. I mean, that's a fraction of a percent of people.
okay, I really don't want to be a part of this, was I hate bringing it up, but Etika. The Etika stuff was so hard for me, right? Like that was somebody who clearly was experiencing a mental health
It was hard for you?
issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that they needed, and this is my attitude, like full stop on this period. The last thing somebody who's going through something like that needs is more eyes on it and more like people weighing in, right? And like that's why
All right, like what additional eyes are Ian and Anisa gonna bring on this, right? Ethan has been one of the biggest stories for a while now. You're not bringing extra eyes to it if you condemn what Froggy Tonic said. This is such a weak excuse. Ethan has gotten an absurd amount of criticism and people talking crap about him. You're not going to amplify that in any meaningful way, right? I don't even know if they would marginally impact it. But they're using this as an excuse why they can't defend Ethan at all, why they can't say, hey, his house was clean, he has a good relationship with his kids. It's such a weak excuse.
I'm kind of angry that we even have to like talk about it here. Is that like
Oh, and you're angry. Okay.
whether or not people who are in it right now realize it on any side, the more people who weigh in, the more people who add to the conversation, the more people who amplify it, the worse that it gets. We were in it. And at the time when we were in it and we wanted.
She's referring to us kind of going through a fucking hard time on the internet, being harassed, videos made about us, people weighing in.
People still make videos about us. And at the time, before like we got help, before we went to therapy, like, yes, there was this attitude of like, why the fuck aren't people saying things? Why the fuck is no one like saying how wrong this is? Like, of course we had anger about that. But like, we had to, now that we've gone to therapy and we've worked through all these things, like
Ethan was one of the people who spoke up then. Ethan and Hila did.
One, the videos have not stopped, right? The comments about us have not stopped. What has stopped is me caring about it, me looking at it. And when you stop, when you get the help and you realize that this is like something that you cannot control at all and it doesn't have to affect your life, that's the only way it gets better.
Yeah.
Do you think Ethan thinks he can control the narrative here? Again, it's just about people he thought were his friends sitting idly by, not willing to push back against what their own former editor said about them.
Things piling on, things adding to it, people weighing in, people.
And besides that, Ethan has made it clear that he would like for you to say something. So clearly he doesn't have a problem with you adding on to it. He's made it very clear that it would be meaningful to him if you guys would be willing to say something. But then you're just going to use, oh, well, you shouldn't address controversy because that just makes it bigger. I mean, sure, as a general rule, but in this specific situation, your friend is saying otherwise.
Throwing punches for you does not help. You know, and I'm at the point now, thankfully, with the combination of like therapy, the support systems that I have, my friends that I have, everything, like I'm not worried about saying this online.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure people will take it and talk about it. I'm proud of what I'm saying right now. And the people who get it will get it. And the people who think that I'm a bad person for that will think I'm a bad person. And I'm okay with that because I don't believe that I'm a bad person. And I think that's a very strong tool. And I hope to God that the people who are really drowning right now, okay, whoever you want to, in your head, whoever's listening to this, whoever you think is drowning right now, I hope to God that they get the help that they deserve to stop hurting themselves and stop hurting other people across the board.
Yeah.
That's my take.
And
It's just so belittling. It's like, Ethan, get help. You need to get help, Ethan. Well, he's made it pretty clear to you. What would help him is some of the people that he thought were his friends saying something instead of just every single friend that he had. He has to cross off a list because they're seemingly okay with people saying that they're terrible parents, terrible pet owners, that they're baby killers.
it really, it affects everyone. It is, you know, I remember, you know, looking around at my close friends, my internet friends, loads of people, and just was like, this is interesting. Like I'm not really getting private messages of support, at least not from the people who I would expect to get it from. And that hurt a little bit, but you know, after, you
So you recognize that the behavior that you're doing would hurt Ethan, right? It just straight up acknowledge, hey, when my friends did to me what I'm doing to you, that hurt. Now, it sounds like he's going to couch that somewhat, but I mean, he's straight up admitting that.
you know, therapy and, you know, reflecting on it a bit more, it was a realization of like, oh shit, they aren't paying attention.
They're literally not paying attention.
This is my life.
Yeah.
So it feels like
It's the loudest thing in the
it's
room.
very loud. That's all my feed is. That's all anything is.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to disconnect from that and be like,
Yeah, so maybe your friends at that point in time weren't paying attention, but Ethan called your attention to this situation. All of this, they're trying to make it really broad in general and not get into any of the specifics so that they can say this sort of stuff and distance themselves and rationalize how it makes sense for them to do this. But we're talking about a specific situation here.
oh shit, actually this is, obviously it's great to show
Support.
Like people love that.
People
you
are
know?
so busy though.
Yeah.
Like I'm not online reading tweets.
Well, and I was just gonna say,
Okay, but it doesn't matter if you're busy. You know about this specific situation. Right? You don't have to do any research. You can just make a tweet or here on your podcast say something, but you're not willing to.
beyond that, things are complicated.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends when I did my apology
Mhm.
that did not fuck with it in the slightest.
Yeah, they didn't agree.
And they still don't fuck with it.
Yeah.
They
and that's
don't agree
fine.
with it. And, I don't really expect them to come to bat for me or anything
Yeah.
if they don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And I don't expect
So are you saying you agree with your former editor then?
them to speak up, period, on any of it.
I appreciate that they don't
Yes.
because it just makes things more complicated. It's like
Mhm.
I can get a read from
Actually, Ethan, you should appreciate that we're not saying anything about our editor talking crap about you, saying you're terrible parents and pet owners.
you with like what you say or don't say.
Mhm.
And, that might change private relationships, sure, but that's life. Like, that's life. You know what I mean? Like, people go their separate ways all the time.
Mhm.
Again, like, the worst
Yes, that does happen a lot, but it doesn't have to happen, right? You can hang on to friends.
thing you can do is feed into it
Mhm.
in any way.
Yeah. It's super compelling because there is this like brain chemistry, this idea of like I can make it go away. Like I
Well,
can make it stop.
here's what you
I have
do.
the vaccine.
Yeah, the thing is, and this is like the cycle.
Yeah, and again, that's not what it's about for Ethan. He's not expecting it to stop or for you guys to help stop it. He just wants who he thought was his friends to act like friends. This is this is so irritating the way that they're talking about this.
Because it is a cycle. You go, they just don't have all the information.
Hmm.
If I just clarify and give them the information,
Right.
then they'll like back off. But of course, these people don't give a fuck like the information. So they take the information and they twist it. And then you get frustrated. And you're like, maybe they don't understand that I'm not a bad person. And they need to see that like emotionally, this is making me sad.
Yeah.
So then you like
Cry about
cry about it. And then they fucking think it's funny. And then they take that. And then you get into this cycle of like,
Yeah.
and it's some people call it like a lolcow, which has become like more of a common term. And it makes me sad because
So this is what their response to Ethan saying, "Hey man, it would be really nice if you guys could say something and stick up for me just in the tiniest bit." Like, man, Ethan's kind of become a lol cow, hasn't he?
the people who are like farmable
Hmm.
in quotations are people who clearly do not have the tools to like take care of themselves,
Mhm.
like emotionally.
Yeah. It's not only not having the tools like emotionally, psychologically,
Yeah.
but it's also having the support system,
Yes.
friends, family, therapy, like we mentioned.
Yeah.
Like that's something that you can get and it does a lot. It's
Yeah.
powerful.
And he thought that you were part of his support system. He thought you were friends, and you're not acting like it. Uh, Like, it's so simple and straightforward.
Predictable schedule, hobbies.
Uh-huh.
all these things.
Yeah, that's great. And also, like material things, like what's up?
I was just gonna say, like money.
Like money.
There's like I feel
like there's a lot of
really
people
bad,
who cannot afford therapy.
which
period.
is why I have a special hatred for people who pay attention to like Daniel Larson's and like World of T-shirts.
Yes,
people who don't clearly have the tools financially to.
It's
I'm pretty sure World of T-shirts makes solid money. I don't know. I think that Mr. Based guy maybe steals a bunch of it, but he has the means to get into therapy financially. I'm pretty sure. It's more so that he's not mentally all there and he's being taken advantage of by Mr. Based.
It is so bad in every way. They are surrounded by the most disgusting people who are going to keep them down.
Yeah.
They have no money to figure this shit out.
No family.
And
no.
even if they do get money, I think some people would argue like, oh, but World T-shirts get so many donations. Yeah, that go.
Yes. Yes, because it directly contradicts with what Anisa just said, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it would be easy for him to get into therapy, right? I acknowledge he has bad people around him that would impede that and get in the way. But Anisa specifically said World of T-shirts doesn't have the financial means to go to therapy, which is just not true.
Goes directly into his
alcohol.
alcoholism,
Yeah.
and other people are, I think, in control of that a lot of the time.
No, you'd be surprised at how
also,
often.
when you're in a mental state, you can't make the right
you can't make
decisions
the
with
right-
the money
yeah,
ever. Like,
I mean, yeah.
You just you get fucked. Thank you for listening to our spew.
Yeah, sorry.
We're gonna go on to the ombudsing.
Okay.
So this is gonna.
That's all they had to say, really. It was like, hey, Ethan, I know that you thought we were friends or whatever, and you'd like for us to stick up for you, just push back a little bit against our former editor saying crazy stuff about you. But you don't want us to pile on and bring more attention to it. And also, you're kind of a lolcow. I mean, brutal. I honestly, if I was Ethan, I don't know the type of money that they have. I assume they make very good money. I would be taking a long break. Just get away from this. Because, yeah, I mean, kind of in line with some of the stuff that they said, it is probably making it worse that he's so deep in this and responding to it regularly. But I mean, when people are saying stuff like you neglect your children and let them get illnesses and you cause the death of your pets, if you don't say anything about that, that's potentially career ruining, right? So, I don't know, maybe he's worried about pay for his crew or whatever. I got to make money to pay them. I don't know, but I would definitely be taking a long break. So I'll agree with Ian and Anisa on that little bit. That yeah, probably the best thing would be for him to step away from this. But I mean, he shouldn't have to either, right? Like, it's ridiculous that he's in this situation, or people are so over the top with all of this. I don't know, but yeah, just truly pathetic the way they tried to speak so broadly and general about this rather than acknowledging that, hey, this is a specific situation with a specific person that thought you guys were friends. But no acknowledging that, just gonna speak very broad and vague and say harassment bad. Wow, thanks guys.